My name is Ava Thompson, and I was 29 years old when my mother asked the question that finally cracked our family open. It happened on Christmas night, right after dessert, while everyone was still laughing about my sister Julia's wedding like it had been the royal event of Illinois. My mother lifted her glass, smiling at me across the table, and said, "Julia's wedding was beautiful, wasn't it? So Ava, when's yours?" My fork stopped halfway to my plate. My father chuckled like it was harmless. Julia leaned back with that small, satisfied smile she always wore when she knew the spotlight wasn't going anywhere else. I looked at all of them. The same people who had spent a year obsessed with Julia's flowers, Julia's dress, Julia's venue. And I said calmly, I already had mine. The room went silent so fast it felt like the house itself had stopped breathing. My mother blinked. What? I folded my napkin. I got married in October. You were invited. My father's face hardened instantly. Ava, we never got any invitations. That's when I reached into my bag and placed a folder on the table. Delivery receipts. Signature confirmations. Photos of envelopes. Every single one signed for at this house. And the name on the signature belonged to Julia. That was the moment I understood something had been buried before it ever reached them. I didn't grow up dreaming of a big wedding. I grew up dreaming of being seen without performing for it. In the Thompson family, attention was never shared. It was assigned. Julia was the bright one. The dramatic one. The one who turned every moment into a stage. I was the quiet one. The dependable one. The daughter who fixed problems no one thanked her for fixing. I built a life in Chicago working in vintage bridal restoration. I spent my days repairing gowns that families treasured while mine barely noticed the life I was building. Then I met Max. Max Bennett, calm, patient, dry humor, the first person who never treated my quietness like emptiness. When he proposed, it wasn't a spectacle. It was in my apartment, rain against the windows, a half-restored 1950s gown on the table, and him saying, "I don't want a performance. I want a life with you." I said yes immediately. We planned a small October wedding. A courthouse in Oak Park, dinner in a private Italian room. Intimate. Warm. Mine. But I still wanted my family there. So I sent real invitations. Cream envelopes. Handwritten names. Signature confirmation. One to my parents. One to Julia at their house. One to my aunt. Then I waited. No replies. No calls. Nothing. When I asked my mother, she brushed it off. She was busy planning Julia's wedding album party. Not even the wedding itself anymore. A party to relive it. I almost told her then. I almost said, "I'm getting married too." But she interrupted me to ask about napkin colors. That was the moment something inside me stepped back. Max noticed. He offered to go back, to call again. I told him no. If they wanted to be part of my life, they could read an envelope and show up. They didn't. So we got married without them. And it was steady. Honest. Max's mother cried like she had known me forever. His brother made a toast that made me laugh until it hurt. No spectacle. No spotlight theft. Just love that didn't compete. And still, when the photographer offered a family portrait, my throat tightened. Max leaned in and whispered, "We'll make our own." For 2 months, I said nothing. No posts. No announcements. I waited for Christmas. Because Christmas was the one thing my mother treated like sacred performance art. Matching plates, forced gratitude, polished illusions. If truth was going to enter that house, it would enter there. Dinner looked exactly like always. Too perfect. Too controlled. Julia arrived late, of course, already glowing from attention she hadn't earned that night. My mother practically orbiting her. Max squeezed my hand under the table. You don't have to make yourself smaller tonight, he whispered. That was the only thing I needed. They talked. Julia talked about compliments she was still getting. My father talked about how worth every penny her wedding was. My mother talked about it like it was a national holiday. And then dessert arrived. Peppermint cheesecake. Gratitude round. Julia said she was grateful for a family that shows up fully. I almost laughed. Then my mother turned to me, smiling like nothing in the world was wrong. So Ava, when are we finally planning yours? That was the question that cracked everything open. I set my fork down. We're not planning it, I said. My mother frowned. Why not? I looked at Julia. Then back at her. Because I already had mine. Silence doesn't always feel peaceful. Sometimes it feels like guilt trying to find a place to land. My father leaned forward. What do you mean? Max spoke first. We got married October 12th. My mother's face drained. That's not funny. It isn't a joke, I said. Then I opened the folder. Page after page slid across the table. Delivered. Signed. Received. My father stared at the signature line. This doesn't make sense. It did. My mother whispered, who signed? Julia didn't answer right away. Then she laughed, too fast, too thin. I signed for a lot of packages. Mom was busy with the album party. But I had already called the delivery office. Already seen the scan. 3 envelopes. 1 signature. Hers. Then I showed them the screenshot. A message Julia had sent to her friend. I'm not giving them to Mom before album night. She'll make Ava's wedding into a comparison. Let her have her little courthouse thing. The room changed after that. Not loudly. Quietly. Permanently. My mother looked at her. You hid them? Julia's eyes filled instantly. I panicked. Everyone expected my wedding to be perfect. My father stood slowly. Ava's marriage is not one more thing. That was the first time he defended me in front of her. Julia turned desperate. She would have made it about her being elegant. I finally saw it clearly. It wasn't protection. It was jealousy dressed as logic. And then I showed them the final proof, torn envelopes in a recycling bin behind their garage. That was the day I stopped hoping they had just missed it. Julia broke first. I didn't think it mattered that much. My father slammed the table. You lied for months. I didn't lie, she cried. Nobody asked. I leaned forward. Nobody knew there was something to ask. That line ended something in the room. But Julia didn't stop. She never did. She turned it into victimhood. Tears. Breathing. Collapse. It used to work. That night, it didn't. Because no one moved. Then she turned on me. You wanted this, she snapped. You brought evidence to Christmas to humiliate me. I looked at her. No. I brought proof because my words were never enough. And then I said what had been building for years. Every graduation she overshadowed. Every promotion she redirected. Every moment I became inconvenient timing. And my father finally looked ashamed. My mother finally looked lost. Julia finally looked exposed. But when I set down the final envelope, our wedding photos, I made a decision. I am done being the daughter who disappears so others can feel comfortable. I stood. I won't come to events where my life is an afterthought. I won't answer guilt instead of accountability. And Julia, you don't get access to me until you understand what you did. Julia stood too. You can't cut me off over invitations. I'm not cutting you off over invitations, I said. I'm cutting off a pattern. My father finally said, no, Julia. You did that yourself. That broke her. My mother asked her to apologize. Not excuses. Not panic. Accountability. And for once, the old script failed completely. I left. Outside, the cold air hit like clarity. Max wrapped my scarf around me. You did it. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty in the way you feel after putting something heavy down for the first time. In the car, messages came. Julia, you ruined Christmas. I didn't answer. I blocked her. Not forever. Just long enough to breathe. My parents wrote later. Real messages. No performance. My mother, I didn't see you. My father, I made you invisible without realizing it. Those hurt more than anger ever did. Days later, my father called. Julia had admitted she tore the invitations. She said she feared comparison. Consequences followed quietly. She moved out. Financial support stopped. The comfort she had mistaken for entitlement ended. No screaming. Just structure returning. A week later, Julia sent an apology. Then another month later, this one real. No excuses. Just truth. I was jealous, she wrote. I erased your wedding because I couldn't handle it being real. I cried when I read it. Not because everything healed. Because she finally named it correctly. I wrote back, I'm not ready yet. And I meant it. Months later, my parents came to dinner at our apartment. No holiday. No performance. My father looked at our wedding photo for a long time. I should have been there, he said. This time, I didn't soften it. Yes, I said. You should have. He nodded. That was new. At an anniversary dinner, he gave a toast. I missed the day I should have witnessed, he said. But I'm grateful to be here now. And I realized something I didn't expect. Healing doesn't feel like victory. It feels like no longer needing to be invisible to be loved. That Christmas taught me something simple and permanent. Being low maintenance does not mean you deserve low effort. Being forgiving does not mean you deserve erasure. And peace is not peace if you have to disappear to keep it. I still love my family. But I love myself differently now. And I don't attend rooms where my existence needs proof anymore.